Alrighty then. Welcome 2025. Staying alive for 2025. Yes, we are. Let's keep the split screen going. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome to 2025. Welcome back. It's Seymour Mac. I am Mike Brown, owner of Seymour Mac Productions. Hopefully, I'm coming through loud and clear. Just kind of doing a preemptive, impromptu live stream on the first day of the year here. I'm going to be checking some audio through the Facebook live stream as we're going, just to make sure that it's picking up all right. So you might hear that in the background. We're going to be getting started here in a second. As you can see in the description, I kind of want to take a look back at 2024 from a business perspective and from a personal perspective. What are the successes that I saw? What are some of the challenges? And let's see. Okay. Yeah. All right. Looks like it's working well. Just going to kind of shut that off and get it rolling here. Let's go full screen, baby. So, yeah, welcome. So, I'm going to be talking about successes from this previous year and some failures. So, stay tuned for those. Not many of those, but there are some that I'm going to highlight that I could definitely take some lessons from, and maybe you can too. Some of those personal goals too that I sought out to achieve. Did I reach them? Did I not reach them? And also kind of looking into this year, right? It's day one of 2025. A lot of people partied their asses off last night. I did not. I was here at the house. Well, I went and visited my sister, hung out with some family with my son. My wife was working the late shift, and we were back before the ball dropped, about 2 minutes before the ball dropped. And we brought in the new year together as a family. Michael was kind of just crying because he was tired, and he just wanted to go to bed. But needless to say, a lot of people now today, whether you're hungover or not, you're looking into 2025 saying, how am I going to pull this off? What are my goals? First of all, how are you even laying out those goals for the year to come? I'll share with you a little bit about how I'm doing that. And I will also talk a little bit about strategy going into 2025 for me personally, for my business, and then also hopefully hear from any of you who may join the live stream as it's going on. I'm not going to do a long live stream here, but I wanted to just kind of like take the opportunity to share with you guys what I'm doing and hopefully hear from you and see what you're doing. And maybe anybody who sees this, myself included, in the chat will be able to learn from what you're doing. So, what I'm going to do now is the other thing I want to say is too, I'm using riverside.fm. I'm just using the free version for now, so it's a little bit lower quality, 720p. I'm just kind of experimenting with how I want to do this because I wanted to find a streaming program that I was going to be able to kick off the new year with, do a weekly live stream. Hopefully, I set out to do that in 2024. I never really committed to it. So I wanted to do that, and then another goal that I just completely missed and did not even attempt to really hit was starting a podcast for the year. And I think I'll get a little bit into why it was not a success and the things that the obstacles I put in place in front of myself to make sure that was a complete failure this previous year, and what I'm going to be doing to make that a success this year. And using a program like this is going to be one of those things that I saw that I just need to just start diving into it. It's going to suck at first. I used to do a podcast back in the day. And just haven't done one for a long time. And I wanted to really just have conversations with people. And I thought a podcast or a live stream would be the best way to do that. So the live stream, the weekly live stream, I think is going to be a separate thing from the podcast. The podcast, I want it to be more thought out, more planned, have guests on, really have great conversations with entrepreneurs, business people, people in the construction industry, people in the video production industry, just business owners in general, people who I find interesting, and kind of just hear their story, because that's what Seymour Mac Productions is all about. That's one of the key takeaways that I had this past year, about what is the purpose of this company, what is my purpose here. And I think telling stories is what it really comes down to. So let's take a quick look back. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully the audio is going to come through on this. What's interesting is every time I do one of these live streams, my nose gets real stuffy. So hopefully that's not too annoying. So what I'm going to do is, as a final check, I want to take a look back at the previous year with the demo reel. So we put together a demo reel, um, just looking at some of the projects that we have. I've posted this on my Instagram and on my Facebook here. It's on my probably YouTube. It's on my website. It's on everything, right? So if you've seen this before, just bear with me. But I think it's just kind of encapsulates some of the work that we did this past year. So let's just let it rock. All right. So what's kind of unfortunate is, is that this is on a minute long delay, and none of that audio came through. So we're gonna be, it's literally a press of a button before that was causing some feedback. So we're going to let it rock again, and I know the audio is going to play this time. So bear with me as we work the kinks out here. But this is a look back at 2024, some of the projects that we worked on. So enjoy. Oh, there we go. That was a look back. There's some issues with the sharing and the audio on the sharing part of this that we'll have to work out in kinks in future um, future streams. But that was a look back at some of the projects that we worked on. And you may have seen your company in there. You may have seen your likeness in there. You may have seen your face in there. And if you check your contracts, you aren't getting extra royalties for that because I could use those for promotion and marketing. No, I'm absolutely excited about all of those projects that we worked on and all of the partnerships that we created and all of the businesses that we helped tell their story and promote their businesses and build their brand and get them new clients and, you know, help them achieve their goals, overcome their challenges. That is by far the biggest success that we had this year. We worked with some amazing companies, from Prestige Lawn and Trees to Burke Home Services to Harmony Tree Care to Symmetry Construction to CMG of Easton to Cafe 23, Rick Franzo, the growth coach of the Poconos, Charisma Page, of Erin Resilience, who's another business coach and a life coach. Kevin Kendall of State Farm Insurance, when he had his grand opening of his second location, we went out there and captured that and provided video and photo for him. Um, so many more that I'm definitely going to miss and leave out here and not intentionally. Um, thank you so much to all of them. First of all, that the fact that they allowed me and my guys and my company to help represent them and tell their story and put some video projects and photo projects together for them means a lot to me. That trust that they have to have in me means absolutely the world. And I'm going to be a little vulnerable here as the year closed out in December, especially for like the entire month of December. I'm thinking about the next year and how the hell am I going to pull off a better year than I had in 24? And I was feeling like an imposter and it was feeling frankly impossible that I was going to be able to pull it off. And that was how 2024 was ending for me. I literally was kind of driving myself a little crazy about how the hell am I going to have a successful year? Now, I'm not going to get into the whole story because if you've heard the story before, then you know it. And if you've seen some of the podcasts that I did this past year and the year prior, then you've heard this story before. But 2023 was my first full year in business. 2024 was my second full year in business, obviously. um, and in 23, or let's say halfway through 22, I lost my job in the pharmaceutical industry. That was kind of a silver lining, a saving grace for me in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, it was disastrous and it caused a lot of issues. That's the story that I'm not going to dive completely back into. If you've heard it before, then you've heard it before. Um, but halfway through, like kind of let's call it the end of 22, I was figuring out what I was going to do. I decided to take a leap of faith, invested in some education and invested in myself and started this business. The business, frankly, technically was started in 2020, but I was more of a weekend warrior and really kind of like rehashing some of my skills and sharpening the sword. But the end of 22 is when it was just like all or nothing. And when I went into 2023, knowing like, okay, 22, like I ended 22, actually December of 2022, I want to say I closed probably like 12 grand in business. Something I'd have to look back at it. I had a pretty good month. Um, Definitely had a good month. I want to say September was pretty good. October, November was shite. December, though, I finished pretty strong. And January also did pretty strong. I can't remember if it was that December or if it was December of 23 where I wound up closing like 23, $25,000 in business with, which for me and for a lot of people is what the hell are you talking about? At punching a clock, I never made more than 5 grand a month, and that was before taxes and all of that. So 25 was crazy. 2020, 24, whatever it was absolutely nuts, but it showed me that it was possible. Now, to some people here, and this are going to say $20,000, that's a absolute garbage month for me. And congratulations to you. I'm hoping to achieve your level one day. But coming from punching a clock, losing my job, having zero clients, having zero reason to believe that this video business could actually work, um, that was amazing. To make 5, 10, 20 grand a month was absolutely amazing. Now, not consistently month after month. And that's where we start getting into strategy and how we can make sure that we are successful heading into this new year of 25. But again, I don't want to like rehash that whole story, but that was 23. So 2023 was first full year in business. I replaced my salary at the pharmaceutical company in my first year doing this business, which was about $80,000. Now, as a business, not a ton of money because that's before taxes, that's before deductions, that's before expenses, that's before everything. So that's like not actually what I made. But on paper, like before all the expenses and all of that stuff and taxes, $80,000, and that's basically what I was making at Sanofi when I lost my job, and it took me 13 years to work up to $80,000. I did that in my first year in business. Now, looking back at now, let's dive into the successes, right? The biggest success of this past year in 2024, no, like no way to compare to it, were the relationships and the partnerships that we built. Again, I already touched on that, but just one more time, thank you to all of the people who put their faith in me and my guys and my company to help them tell their story. And everybody that I mentioned before and people who I will mention moving forward, thank you so much. It means the world to me. Um, Biggest success of 24 were those relationships. After that, let's start talking about metrics. I saw a 25% total revenue growth over the previous year. So and I'll talk about the whole we fucking thing. The we thing is really me. All right. I talked about this at the last event that I spoke at the business networking conference in November. Small businesses like myself want to portray ourselves as something greater and something bigger. So I say we a lot, and there are some we in there. There's, my guy Chris, who did a ton of shoots with me this year, honing his skills and kind of building it up, and becoming a more reliable camera operator for me. And helping me capture behind the scenes most of the content anyway that I posted this year of me behind the scenes was most likely filmed by Chris. So some of it was filmed by my son, who's 10 years old, by the way. Did a pretty good job. Some of it was filmed by Phil, who, worked with me more in the year before. And then this year's schedules just kind of didn't align up with projects as much, but I'm looking forward to building those relationships out more. So the we is, guys like Phil, guys like Chris. I brought on an editor this year. I was previously editing everything myself, and I brought on an editor, Steven, great editor. So thank you to him. We is, I guess that's who I'm talking about. But we more in a colloquial sense of we the company, right? But I kind of lost my train of thought there. Seymour Mac Productions saw an increase of 25% total revenue in 2024 over 2023. So year over year, 25% growth. So Seymour Mac Productions is now officially a six-figure business, which again, as a business, is not really, I mean, six figures could mean $100,000 and it could also mean $900,000. There's a very large window there. We are not at the $900,000 end of it. You could do the math of 25% growth over the number I stated previously, but officially a six-figure business, which is great. Now, this is before taxes and expenses and all that. I did not rake in $100,000. I certainly did not, and I am had a discussion with my accountant, and I'm going to owe quite a bit of money in taxes because there was no real tax strategy throughout the year. It was kind of just wait until the end and then see what happens. And not a great strategy. So for anybody listening and you're not working with an accountant and somebody specifically who's going to help you strategize from day one, Now is the time to figure that out. I could if you're interested, I could hook you up with my guy. I know another person who's in my networking group who represents a company. I could hook you up with them. You can have discussions, see who works out for you. But I would highly suggest working with a CPA, a bookkeeper. I know a great bookkeeper as well. If you're interested um, on taking control day one of 2025 of your business. So huge success, six-figure business. That's great. But the bigger success is the 25% growth. My goal of last year was to double my income. So to go from 80,000 to 160,000, it was a lofty goal. I missed that goal by quite a many tens of thousands of dollars. That's not a problem. It's not a failure in as much of a sense as it's a learning lesson. It was a lofty goal, and the goal should be lofty, and I think the number and the goal should scare you a little bit. But what I did for 2025 was I kind of dialed it back a little bit on the loftiness of the goal. I kind of set more of a minimum parameter, which is I liked the 25% total revenue growth. I'd like to do that as a minimum again this year, which means adding another whatever $20,000 to the total revenue, which is 100% extremely doable. That is the minimum. So going into 2025, that is the minimum. One of the other successes that I found with my company this past year was niching down and really becoming more of a leader and more of an expert in representing construction companies. So in the demo reel that we watched earlier, and if you know anything about my content, if you are taking a look at my website right now, it's seymourmacproductions.com. Let's drop that in the chat. Um, for more info at we're even going to put the www just in case at seymourmacproductions.com. I like that it posted it twice. I don't know why it did that. Maybe one on stream, one on YouTube. I don't know. We're streaming right now to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're hitting all panels. I want to see what kind of works well. So yeah, that's what we're doing there. So check out the website and what was I saying? Oh, yeah, niching down. So we really are trying. So one of my goals for this year, and really kind of for the company, right? More of a long term goal. Let's say mid to long term goal is to become the premier video production company for construction companies, for blue collar workers. So everything down from a painter, a plumber, a landscaper on a local level, all the way up to a construction management company that might be doing these multi-million dollar projects and more on a regional or national level. We really want to become your go-to production source, right? Your video and media marketing source. That's what we want to be for the construction industry, especially in our area, Northeast Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, southern New York, and really the whole Northeast region. And I think that's doable. So one of the successes that I think that I saw, was the fact that we did niche down and we represented more construction companies again in that vast range of what is a construction company. Let's say a construction service, like a service provider, again, everything from a plumber, a painter, or a landscaper, all the way up to a construction management company. So when I say construction, if you're a plumber or an electrician, that's what I'm considering you a construction company, right? You're a service provider in that field, in that area, and it's such a vast field, right? So if you're feeling like I'm not speaking directly to you right now, I assure you that I am. But one of the other successes that I found with the company was those non-construction partnerships that we made, the business coaches, the life coaches, the cafe owners, the food and beverage services, insurance providers. We did a bunch of projects, the local middle school, for crying out loud. We built those partnerships because I know it's important to them to tell their story as well, but from a marketing and a niching down and becoming an expert in a specific area. We do, when it comes to marketing and content, we do focus very heavily in construction, but that's not to say that we can't work with non-construction companies. We do a ton of work with real estate as well, and we're going to be building out the real estate sector of the business in 2025. We have streamlined some the ordering process and the delivery process, and we're going to be building that out. I have a great partnership with Smart Way America Realty, the Jerry B team, who is my brother and my sister and my mother. So obviously, they're going to have some faith in me providing their media for them. But we also worked with other agents under the Smart Way umbrella, and also outside of that with some other brokers. So we're looking to build that out as well and providing a valuable service to real estate agents. So we saw a lot of successes there. Those are the great business successes that we saw. Great. What about the failures? I'm going to talk about one of the biggest failures of the year for me personally and for my business. And it was one relationship, um, one partnership in particular, which I'm not going to name. I'm not going to put anybody on blast. If they happen to see this, they'll know exactly who I'm talking about. But I just kind of want to be honest and vulnerable with where I th- where I thought that failed and why I thought that failed, and how I could avoid that in the future. We had a partnership early on in the year that we did some work for them under the umbrella of another media company. They wanted to work with us. I said, listen, if you want us to come out again, that's great. But we're not here representing Seymour Mac Productions. We're representing another company. If you want, if you want another project to be produced and you want me to do it in particular, I'm going to do it under the umbrella of this other company. They did not send me out here to capture footage for them to steal their client from them, right? I made that very clear. It was a very long, it was literally months of back and forth with me just telling them, listen, I'm not, that's not the partnerships, the business relationships with other media companies that I'm trying to forge, right? I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or stab anybody in the back. What wound up happening between them and that media company, I really don't know the full extent of it, but they wound up deciding they didn't really want to work with them anymore. I don't know why. I'm not sure. I mean, they shared some stuff with me, but I'm not going to put any of that on blast. It was kind of like private conversations. But they said, well, I was like, all right, well, if you're not working with them anymore and you want to work with my company, that's fine. Um, that's kind of out of the realm of stepping on toes anymore. And again, it was like months and months in the making, months later when they had reached out and we started working together on a project. Now, I had a lot of goals for that project. The people who had buy-in on that project had buy-in on the project. They wanted to see it succeed, but not everybody in the company all the way up to the top, I think, had the same vision. And frankly, I think just kind of looking at it from in hindsight, I just don't think it was that important to the leadership of the company to see that project be a success. And maybe they thought it was more of a pain in the ass to go through the process than it was going to be worth to them. And that's fine. I mean, who am I to say that they're wrong in saying that? I know what I've been able to do for other companies. I know that I wanted to see that become a powerful partnership that was that goes beyond a singular project. But we started shooting it, spent a lot of time shooting it and gathering footage, and then follow up dates and and production time was scheduled and missed and scheduled and missed, and some of that was my fault. I literally broke my tailbone right before one of those productions was supposed to happen, and I had to reschedule it. And so that was kind of from my end. But what's my part in that? I think my part in that is communication. I do make it a point when I bring on a new client to harp on, and we have a kickoff meeting where we talk a lot about expectations, my expectations from them and their expectations from me. We put it down on paper and I send that to them and we both have a copy of it. So that way we could keep track of that. And I try to make it a point to say, hey, we are on the same team here. So if something doesn't seem right, you need to call me, you need to text me, email me, however you want to reach out to me and communicate and let me know, something's off here, Mike. What are we going to do to fix it? And some of that was happening, but on a very, it was kind of like pulling teeth on my end. But then I kind of decided that it was becoming more of a headache for me to constantly try to follow up. And I had other clients who had paid me and put their faith in me to provide them a service, and I needed to move on. That timeline was dragging out too long. So the biggest failure of 2024 for me was seeing that partnership sour. And frankly, it did sour. Now, is there a hope somewhere? Maybe they see this and they hear my side of the story in real time. I've reached out trying to say, hey, I want to see this succeed. I have not heard back at all from anybody. At some point, though, I have to move on, right? I mean, it's literally been a year later. I provided what I think is just for the money that was paid. There's money that hasn't been paid. There's services that haven't been provided. I feel like it's probably, maybe it's just, we both kind of wash our hands of the situation and we move on. Now, I'll say this just in case anybody from the company does see this. Like I said in some of my previous communication, my number one goal for us would still be to see that project succeed, to complete it and make it and see it succeed and provide that for you and finish what we said we would do. But I also understand if you don't want that to happen. The biggest issue for me, and not specifically have to do with them, but other potential partnerships that never went anywhere this year, a lot of it comes down to communication. So when somebody says, "Hey, I'll reach back out to you on Friday. I'll give you an answer on this proposal," and then they disappear and they don't answer emails and phone calls and text messages and social media DMs, and you see them, they see, I mean, we both know we're still here. I mean, we live in the same goddamn town, and then you just ghost. I have I have absolutely, if it's not zero tolerance for that, I have almost zero tolerance for that. That is so disrespectful to me, that somebody could just disappear and not give an answer or say, "Hey, it's too much money. Hey, I don't think this is going to be a good fit anymore. Hey, my wife talked me out of it. Hey, I'm going to go use somebody." Like, I don't even care what the answer is. If you say you're going to give an answer, you're going to deliver on something. I expect that to happen as a business professional. When that doesn't happen, I kind of lose all respect for that company and that person. And I don't want to see that happen to me or to my company. So if at any point I've ever played that role in 2025, I hope to never do that again. So um, I'm looking to learn from that lesson and some of those failures. And again, the key takeaway there is communication. When you say you're going to communicate by a certain deadline, a certain time, in a certain way, and deliver certain information, do it. And this is my message to myself as well. So, what were some of your successes in 24 as a business owner? What were your failures, and what do you take away from those failures? What are you learning from those failures, so that way you don't repeat them, and you could actually learn from them and become a better operator and representative of your business. Some of the more outside of the business perspective, some of the more personal goals that I set out for 2024. I posted a lot about it throughout the year, were my fitness goals. I have a lot of other things that I didn't really make public, as far as my relationship with God. I mean, actually, I did make a lot of that public, but some of the goals, I actually missed a lot of those goals, as far as reading the Bible and maybe going to church on a more regular basis. Those are things that I feel like I did okay on, but I just didn't really hit the mark. Other things that I just completely failed at, I just didn't even do at all, was archery. I wanted to shoot archery every single day and just and build that skill and that practice, and I just completely missed that mark this year. Those are more personal things that have has nothing to do with business. But looking back at them, when I looked at all my 24 goals and I got down to that section where I was like, what happened to that thing? I just completely missed that mark. But the fitness goals, biggest personal goal that I had achieved, and I feel like I knocked out of the park, were my fitness goals. I posted a lot about this, a lot of before and after photos. I got into the best shape of my life at 41 years old, which is absolutely crazy to me. I have lived in the past few months, I have lived a little more than I did in that time where I was trying to achieve that goal. So put on a few pounds, but nothing crazy. Um, but yeah, we're looking to achieve some of those goals again in 25 and just maintain a high level of fitness and nutrition and set that example not just for me, but for my son, for my wife, for my family, for my friends, for anybody who may see those things that I put out on social media. So, those are some of the goals. Let's talk a little bit about and again, in the chat, whether you're seeing this live or if you're seeing this post, I don't know if anybody's in this thing live. I have a chat thing here opened up. I don't know if it's going to send me any comments on this. I probably should maybe like open up another window somewhere and see if anybody and I this was completely impromptu, so I don't really expect anybody to be um joining this live at all. Um let's see. Top, yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares, man. We're talking to the ether right now. But I don't care. I don't care that I'm talking to the ether. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this every week in some form or fashion in 2025 and I'm going to talk to the ether for as long as I have to until I can help at least one person. So if you happen to see this on the replay and you got this far in the video, I don't even know how long this freaking stream has been going for 38 minutes. This has been about 20 minutes longer than I expected this to go. Um, Tell me again, one more time, what were your biggest successes and failures for 2024? Let's talk about moving into 2025. It is January 1st. What are your 2025 goals? And more importantly, what is your strategy to achieve those goals? So I had a call with a friend of mine who owns a video production company in Houston, Texas. um, Nathan Fitzgerald. He owns Perspective. Perspective. I know there's another part to the name, but let's just call it Perspective. Out in Houston, he does a lot of his main service is FPV drones, but he does a lot of other really great video production services as well. And we do like every few weeks we hop on a call and we kind of keep each other accountable. And we did an end of the year kind of goal review and setting call uh yesterday, or maybe yeah, yesterday, I believe, yesterday morning. And it was great. A huge shout out to Nate because he has helped keep me accountable throughout the year, and he has achieved some great goals for his business this year. We both kind of knocked it out of the park. Not knocked it out of the park for myself. I want to say I hit a double, which was great. I brought a run home, let's say, but I didn't cross the plate necessarily, not yet. But he enlightened me on some of the ways that he plans on making sure that he has a strategy, excuse me, to actually achieve the goals that he's setting out for 2025. So I think it's important to talk about setting those yearly goals, but then breaking them down as he does into smaller increments. He calls them seasons. So he's doing, I believe, if I remember correctly, 16 seasons I think it's every 3 weeks, he does a check in on his goals. He's setting quarterly goals, of course, but he's also setting monthly goals. And what is he doing to achieve those goals? So, if one of your goals for your business, and if you have a video production business, this is going to resonate with you very much, is to achieve, let's say, $10,000, excuse me, in revenue. Maybe it's 20,000, maybe it's 100,000, whatever your bracket is, right? What are you doing to achieve that goal? So, if your goal is to hit $10,000, and you know that a new client is only going to get you about $1,000, well, then you know you need to get 10 clients. What are you doing to get those 10 clients? We know or maybe we don't know, but I have learned that in order for me to get 10 clients in this month, I need to have a lot of conversations, and it's way more than 10. Let's just use some numbers here, some general numbers. Let's just assume that for every 10 Facebook messages that you send, every 10 emails, every 10 LinkedIn messages you send, Instagram messages that you send, phone calls that you make to a potential client leads to one discovery call. Let's make it a little more realistic. Let's say you send 10 outreaches, right? Whether it's a phone call, a cold email, cold call, or a message or something like that. Not a referral that was sent to you, but somebody that you're doing as outreach, cold outreach. Let's say you do 10 of those and it gets you two. I want to make it more realistic. Let's say you do 20 of those. Let's make it super realistic. Let's say you do 100 of those in a month, and you should do a lot more than that. Out of the 100 outreach, you get 10 discovery calls, 10 people who say, "Hey, I'm actually interested. What's the next step?" You say, "Let's hop on a phone call so I can learn more about your situation and see if there's even anything there that makes sense for either of us." Out of the 10, you get, let's say, five of those to a strategy call, which is where you actually pitch them ideas, which is great. I mean, that's 50% from discovery to strategy. That's fantastic. It's not really realistic, but that's great if you're doing that. Out of the five that get to a strategy call, maybe you close one of them. So you need to send 100 outreaches to get one client, and if that one client only gets you $1,000, and your goal is to get to $10,000 for the month, you've got to send a lot more than 100 cold outreaches. You have to send. That's Nate messaging me. 2025 is going to be nuts. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, baby. I think there's a let's fucking go. Let's. It's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. I wanted like a but it didn't happen. Okay, anyway. You need to send more than 100. You need to send 1,000. You need to send 1,000 cold outreaches to get 10 clients closed at $1,000 a client to hit your goal. Is that realistic for you? You have to figure that out. These are the ways that you figure out how the hell you're going to hit your goal. You have to reverse engineer it to say, okay, well, maybe it's not realistic to do 1,000 outreaches to get $10,000 clients if I want to make 10 grand. But maybe it's realistic if I offer something that's way more valuable, that's maybe $10,000, and I send those 1,000 outreaches and I get one client closed at a $10,000 bracket. Is that reasonable for you? Are you worth it? Are you providing that value? So these are things that you're going to have to figure out for your business and where you're at in your business. If you're brand new to running a business, this is like the elusive thing that you don't understand and you're trying to figure out. And there's a lot of information out there. I'm not necessarily the guy to learn this from. Alex Hermosi, a business coach in your niche, sales coach. There's a lot of people. Get a mentor. Okay. If you are just starting out in 2025 as a new business, my biggest suggestion to you is to find somebody in your industry, in your niche, who is way more successful for you, has put in way more reps than you, and figure out how to make them your mentor. That is going to be your biggest asset in 2025. If you're a more established business, you still need a mentor because there's always somebody further along the road than you. I've said this so many times, and I'll continue to scream it from the rooftops. One of my mentors is Peter Mackey of Mackey Photo and Video. I shoot a lot of video for him as one of his wedding videographers. But when I was talking about picking up a camera again before I really started this business back up or at all, he lent me a lot of information, a lot of faith in me, and just a lot of encouragement. And he is still to this day one of my mentors. Become a great friend of mine, and he's my boss. Sometimes he's my partner. Other times, and it's a great relationship. He has provided me so much value, just from a motivational, from an education standpoint, and hopefully I've returned that favor to him in some ways. I don't know how. Back rubs, whatever it is. Uh, but get yourself a mentor in 2025 if you don't have one now. If you have the means, get a business coach. Somebody like Charisma L. Page of Erin Resilience. Somebody like um, Rick Franzo, the growth coach of the Poconos. Find a business coach who's maybe more specifically in your niche, like I did. I found a video business coaching program. There's a first of all, that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother live stream, a whole nother day. Is there seems to be more coaches in your niche than there's actually businesses. I think it just seems like that. But you got to be careful because there's a lot of gurus who never actually did the thing. There's some people I know who went through the same program I did who thought it was a complete scam. I It was a complete win for me. I probably would never join their program again just because I don't think they could provide me as much value as the money that they're asking for it at this point where I'm at now. Not that it would be a complete miss. And I don't even like promoting the specific thing because there's so many business coaches out there for like video production companies in particular. You have to like interview with a lot of them and learn about their programs and just find who's best for you. Um, I think that's kind of where I want to leave it for today because this is going way too long. Um, or how about this? Here's how I'm going to leave it. First of all, another question to anybody watching this on the replay, drop it in the chat. What are you doing? First of all, what are your goals for 2025 as your business, whether it's a financial goal, a sales goal, a growth goal, a personal goal, whatever it might be. And then what is your strategy to actually help you achieve that goal? Okay, because that is setting a goal is great. Having a New Year's resolution, great. If you don't have a strategy to actually achieve that goal, it's pretty much for nothing. So, yeah, what are you doing to achieve that goal, right? Here's where I'm going to leave this stream here, the 2024 recap live stream, the first one of the year and hopefully one of many. As you can see down in the lower third here, Seymour Mac Productions. I'm Mike Brown, owner of Seymour Mac Productions, also known as the Mustache. I used to be the beard, and now I am the mustache. I didn't shave today. I meant to shave before I did this, but I'm going to do another cardio set. I'm going to do a ruck later, and I did a workout today. I'm going to do a ruck later, 45-minute ruck, and I don't want to take a shower and shave before I do that again. So I'm going to wait till I do that, and then I'll clean myself up. The next stream, I promise you, I will be shaved. The mustache will be primed and beautiful and pure. How I want to leave this um, is with a few goals that I want to make public here for myself in 2025. First of all, I talked about it at the beginning, a 25% minimum total revenue growth year over year. That is the minimum. Okay. That means I didn't print it out yet. I have to do roughly 11 to $12,000 months every single month. That means I could do it. I can get a client in for 12 grand. Great. That's what I would like to do. Do one client, one project for 12 grand. Beautiful. I could do 12 at 1,000. Don't want to do that. Okay. That's just too much. Um, and frankly, I don't do many at that rate anymore just because what I'm providing, I feel like is worth way more than that. The other thing that I want to do here is more of these live streams. So I want to do a weekly live stream, much, much shorter than this one, maybe only 10 minutes. Maybe like I'm going to have to pick a day and try to commit to it where I talk about business. I talk about entrepreneurship. I talk a little bit about what we have going on in the company. Maybe I'm gonna pick a topic and I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm not gonna pre-plan them out too much. I'm just gonna speak from the heart, and I'm going to share maybe a challenge that I saw with the business, maybe a personal challenge, and hopefully somebody will get value out of that. If it's one person, that's great. I want to do that at least once a week. The other goal that I have is to start the podcast. Now, I said I was going to talk about this, so I might as well talk about it here at the end. The reason why I did not do a podcast in 2024 is because right outside of my room here, I have another space where I store some equipment, and it's kind of like an extension of my editing studio here. my home office, as you will. Right now, there's our spare bed. We turned our spare bedroom into a craft room for my wife. She no longer really wants to keep it that way, so we're going to turn it back into a spare bedroom. But we just haven't done it yet because we want to rip the carpet out. We got to get rid of a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of pieces that have to happen before that. I have been telling myself that I'm going to start a podcast in this space here. In order to do that, I have to clean that space out. I have to set it up. I have to build a background. I have to put the chairs there. I have to like do this whole thing because I do want to do an in-person podcast where I sit down face to face with somebody and have a great conversation with them. I have put so many obstacles in my way that I have assured that it will never happen. It will never freaking happen. And it won't happen in a timely fashion anyway. So my commitment is I'm going to use probably this program. Maybe I'll probably have to start paying for it, um, and just start having these conversations over over the internet. It's not the way I want to do it necessarily, but that's how I'm going to start it. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be beautiful and brave, but I think it is the only way that I'm going to get it started. And hopefully, there's enough value in those conversations, starting it out that way, that it compels me to do what it's going to take to do it the way that I envision it. But you got to start somewhere, right? So we're going to start there and we're going to close this out here. If you've gotten any value at all from this live stream, if you stuck it out to the end here, um, thank you so much. Use live stream 10 to get 10% off your first project. That isn't a thing, but you know what? It is a thing. You're going to get 10%. Actually, I put out an email blast today to a contact list for new customers, new clients, new partnerships. For your first project, you're going to get 25% off of the total cost of that first project. On average, our projects are anywhere from it's not on average, it's a range from $5 to $15,000. Sometimes that's one video, sometimes that's a series of videos. You will get, as a new client, brand new client, 25% off your very first project. So if you commit to a large project, if it's $100,000, I'm going to give you $25,000 off to you. I'm going to commit to that right here on the live stream. And I've committed to that in the email marketing that I put out this morning. So if you made it this far, congratulations. That is the ultimate gem, 25% off. Use live stream 25. Hit me up. Send me an email. Go to the website, seymourmac.com, and you will just hit me up on there. Send me a DM here on Facebook or on Instagram or on LinkedIn or wherever you might be seeing this. And let's connect. Let's talk about how we can help you tell your story and help you grow your business. I didn't really want to make this a sales thing. I wanted to make this a value thing. But if that's another way that I can provide you some value, then fantastic. That's what we want to do. We're going to end the stream there. Thank you so much. I just realized now that there's a mark clip function on this, that I could have probably been marking some of these segments out to make clips, but you live and you learn. It's the first time I ever used this software in this program. First time in 2025 that we have a live stream. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody in 24 who put their trust in me and faith in me. I want to say it was an honor, and I look forward to doing more with you and some of your partners as well here in 2025. It's going to be a crazy year. If we don't get abducted by aliens, if the fog doesn't make us all sick, if the cabal doesn't completely upend the government, we're going to make it a fantastic year for business. So hopefully, hopefully none of that crazy shit actually happens. All right. Peace and love you. And as we say here, welcome back.